Welcome to another episode of the Strength of Purpose podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh Jewett of Strength of Purpose in Buxton, Maine.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Phil Finemore, owner of WorkFitME Mobile Physical Therapy. The goal of our podcast is to help busy Maine professionals achieve the mental, emotional, and physical strength necessary to fulfill their true purpose in life.
Dr. Phil and I have a passion of sharing our true purpose with others. Join us as we discuss holistic health and wellness tips with our friends, colleagues, and even heroes and mentors to help you strengthen your true purpose in life. Dr. Finemore, how you doing?
I am doing well, Mr. Jewett.
Awesome. Good to hear, buddy.
If we're going with super professional titles for this episode, doing great, man. Hope you and the family are doing well there as well.
Yeah, we're doing great. Happy to be back on. We really enjoy doing these things.
Yeah.
Very, very fun. It's very fun. Even just chopping it up and having a good time. Hopefully people will get a little tidbit of information out of it.
Yeah. And at least maybe they got a chuckle, whether it's at our expense or with us. Laugh at us, laugh with us. We don't care. We just hope you got something out of spending your part of your Wednesday with us or whenever it is that you listen to this.
Exactly. The point is download it, laugh at us, or love it. We're good with it.
Right. Or heck, just download it and don't listen. That's okay too. Whatever. We'd prefer you listen and got something out of it. But if you don't and you download it, that's okay too. We're fine with that.
Right. But the point is we want you to make it a practice to download it every week.
Aha. I see what you did there.
Perfect little segue in. Dr. Phil and I are going to talk about today is making things a practice instead of making it just slogging through it, right?
Yeah. Yes. I think it's a little bit of like a mindset shift. We've talked a lot on this podcast about mindset shifts, and that's so important because we focus on mental, emotional, and physical strength, and all of those things are tied so closely together in everything that we do on a daily basis. Even when we're doing laundry or vacuuming the house or whatever, we're using some part of all three of those things. Sometimes some are tuned up more than others, but these little mindset shifts, like turning something new that we're trying to work on into a practice and treating it like a practice, both in our mental approach to it and our physical approach to it, can allow us to get out of that tendency to either want to be at the end right now, or the sort of flip side of that and the dangerous side of that is this is just way too daunting, so I'm not going to do it at all because I'll never get there.
Right. Yeah. Or the other side of it, Phil, is just going super hard and destroying yourself, or getting so stressed because you after 2 weeks you're not where you want to be.
Right. You're burnt out. You're not prepared to handle what's being thrown at you, and you're just going to kind of make it up as you go. And for certain things in life, we can get away with that, but for some things we can't.
Right. No, that's true. And there's a saying, this is kind of an analogy, so follow me here.
Someone write this down. It's going in the book.
Right? Yeah. Pavel Tatsulin of Strong First said, if you want to press more, you have to press more. Now, what he means by that is he doesn't just mean more weight. He means more often. Okay. So by making it a practice, let's just say, for example, we'll take that. If you want to do a better press.
Sure.
Every day, you just do a little bit, like literally 5 sets of 2 reps each arm. Whatever weight is comfortable that you can do it with, you do it the next day. How long does that take? 10 minutes. Okay. But what you're going to reap after doing months of this, you're going to end up being like, this is very light. This is easy. I'm ready to move on. And it's not crazy hard.
Right.
Okay. So you're essentially just taking out all of the BS stuff, like, oh geez, I have to do these, and then I have to go jump on a box, and then I have to do my deadlift, then I have to do this, then I have to do that. It's like simplifying it a little bit, making it a goal that isn't super hard to reach, very easy to bite off, and then you go from there, and then maybe you can add something else in with it later on. But it's taking that first step, and it's kind of a funny thing because the way with his accent when he says it, but the truth behind it is it's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, it's a one step at a time approach, right?
Very much so.
Another good analogy there is you've got to crawl before you can walk. You've got to walk before you can run, right? So we can't expect to, especially when it's something we've never done before. We can't expect to just be able to do it, maybe once or twice and then be where we want to be. And I think the other thing that making it a practice does is allows us to enjoy the process, which I think is another big point to throw in here when we talk about this, because there's going to be failure. There's going to be setbacks. I don't even really failure is not a bad word, but I always like to look at it as wins and lessons, right?
Sure.
If you fail, you only actually failed if you didn't learn something from it to be better the next time, right? You only actually failed if you let it fail you, right? If you let yourself fail and not learn from it and move on. So by making it a practice, the word practice itself means to slowly and incrementally get better at something.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why. And actually, you hear that a lot in yoga, right? That was one of the when we chatted about this topic, the first thing that popped in my head was yoga, because anyone that has a yoga studio or does yoga class or anything like that, they always call it a yoga practice. I always hear professionals in that industry calling it a yoga practice because they want people in this for the long haul, right? Because it's so good for you, because it's so good for your health and your flexibility and helps with pain and all these great things.
Sure.
But it's a practice because there's always going to be something within that movement or within that flow or whatever the case might be that you could get a little better at or advance a little bit, or and there's a progression. And so if we look at starting any new thing in our life as a practice and not as something that we have to do or just this goal we've set for us, we can set a goal that can help guide our practice, but looking at it as I am going to get better over time allows us to enjoy the process a little bit more, be okay with failing a little bit more, and learning from those losses and not letting them just be a loss.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny. It's taken me a while to put that into my own life.
Yeah.
I have some aspirations. I want to get some certifications. I have to work for them. And I don't know why in the beginning, it's like, I'm always gung ho. I'm just going to go right for it. But what I've found is when I just sit back, I enjoy the process. I enjoy what I'm doing. I don't push myself super hard. I get it in, I get it done. It's part of my day.
Yeah.
And I just continue doing that. And I've seen way more progress than really thinking about it every day and just, oh man, I got to get down there. Oh man, I got to do this. And it just stress yourself out. And yoga was great because when you go to do yoga, that was a great analogy too. You can't do a split when you first get in there unless you're hypermobile. But like Phil, drop down into a split right now.
Yeah, no, nope. I like my thighs.
Right, exactly. So the process of getting there is going to take you a year? So it's just those little slow, or maybe 10. A year, maybe more, maybe or 10.
Yeah.
But if it's something you enjoy too, if you enjoy going to the yoga, it helps. So, but
well, and that's I think that's a good point. Is if it's something new that you're doing, you can't expect to be good at it. But it certainly helps getting through the process if it is something you enjoy. So, but I guess the best advice is before you set out on a journey that you're going to have to turn into a practice and get better at slowly over time, enjoy the process, all these things we've already talked about. You got to make sure that the end goal of where you want to be or the real reason you're setting out on this in the first place is that it's something you truly enjoy,
Yeah.
and or are passionate about. Because if you're not, even if you have that mindset of, oh, I'm going to get slowly better at this over time, you're going to drop out of it and not want to do it. And you're going to resent it. And you're going to burn out if it's something that you truly don't want to be doing. So we're using this yoga example. If you hate the idea of yoga, don't go do yoga just to work on your mindset of making new things in your life a practice rather than just some goal you've got to bowl through and attain. But yeah, if you truly enjoy it and you implement this sort of mindset of making it a practice, you're going to be that much more successful. And even more importantly, I think, than being successful in what you're setting out to do, you're going to be more fulfilled. So even if you don't reach the ultimate goal for whatever reason, there could be a million of them, you're going to be more fulfilled by being able to quickly reflect back and say, look at where I was and look at where I am now. And I'm doing the thing that I didn't think I could do, or I'm doing the thing that felt super daunting when I first started doing it, or whatever the case might be. But that fulfillment is going to feel a heck of a lot like success, even if you didn't reach that sort of ultimate goal as soon as you wanted to, or in the time frame you wanted to, or maybe you didn't quite reach it at all. But by understanding that you're getting better at it each time you practice it, there's some personal fulfillment there, and that's sometimes just as good.
Yeah, definitely. And just imagine how much that will bleed over into other aspects of your life too. You know, if you're really trying to get better at something, whether it's crocheting or whatever, racing a car, whatever the heck it is, right? If you're passionate about it, it will bleed over into other things. I mean, how many times have we told people that, you know, find your why? Try to find those things that you're really passionate about, that you know you love, and then you just start working slowly at it. I mean, I don't know about you, Phil, but when you first became a physical therapist, you had a lot to learn, right? Yeah, you had a lot of schooling, but you had a lot to learn. So your life experience is slow. But you enjoy doing it. So your willingness to pick away at some of the bigger details or the smaller details of your job maybe didn't seem quite as much like work as it did. I was like, hey, I like this. I love helping people. How can I help them more? Well, maybe I'll pick up this book and I'll learn this technique or that technique, and just pick away at it. So I think it's important for people to, like you said, if you don't like yoga, don't do it.
I mean, Yeah.
If you don't like knitting, don't do it.
Loving the process and realizing how the growing pains you're going through and the trials and tribulations you're going through and whatnot are all going to work together to get you where you ultimately want to be, and being okay with not being there right now. These are all very hard things to do, by the way. We're kind of batting these ideas back and forth like they're you know, nothing, like they're automatic. But in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about it because a lot of people, including ourselves, have a hard time with this sometimes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's a reason we decided to talk about it, because it's something we work through within our careers, personal lives, whatever the case might be. And it's something that a lot of people that we work with have to work through as well. So these aren't easy things to do, but if we start taking little smaller steps and start being more comfortable with the process and enjoying the process of where you're at and where you're going to be, again, the fulfillment comes, it spills over into the areas of your life, and it gets easier, right? So here's a little mind blower here, Josh. Making things a practice and making that a practice is going to get you there sooner. Right.
Boom. No, I think
you almost have to practice making things a practice, right? That's how you start doing it. Start small and get bigger, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't just look at the 15 piles of laundry and expect them all to be done in one load, right, Phil?
Right. Exactly.
Got to pick away at
You
it.
gotta pick away at it.
You got to pick away at it.
How do you eat an elephant?
Yep.
One bite at a time, right?
We love that one. We use it on here all the time.
Oh, well, it's perfect.
It is perfect.
It paints the picture.
I gotta tell you something really quick. Okay. Today, perfect example of the elephant. This is total tangent, but I have to tell you this.
Let's go for it.
How I'm putting in grass and all that stuff right now. I don't know if I told you that, but I'm putting in a lawn and trying to fix it up. Well, this is giant, like 12 cubic yard pile of dirt. And I thought of that. I actually thought of you today when I was digging it. I said, man, I'm like, this is like eating an elephant. I just get one shovelful at a time.
One shovelful at a time.
And I just kind of made it a practice for those couple hours that I was out there. Just one shovelful, just do one at a time. Don't stress out. Don't think about the pile. Just keep digging.
That's right.
It kind of felt perfect that we were just talking about this. It fit right in.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
On a serious note, though, too, like that pile's not going to disappear in an hour.
Right.
You have to get yourself mentally and physically prepared to move that pile, and it's going to take a while. So I just looked at it and I said, that's okay. But when I was done, I saw that a quarter of the pile is gone. And I stopped thinking about the pile and started thinking about the process and how much I've gotten done and what I've raked out and how good it looks.
Yeah.
That's the point, right?
Look back and go, isn't it kind of funny that I thought that was a big deal? And here I am, maybe I'm not done with it, but I got a lot more done in a smaller amount of time than I ever thought I would. And it just seems funny to me now that I was worried about that. But in the moment at the start of it, it's really hard to think that way. But again, if we start thinking that way in smaller things during our day, like let's say our general to-do list, for example.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
If we look at that whole thing and go, holy cow, how am I going to finish this? Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. I need a 36-hour day, not a 24-hour day. There's no way. But if we just do, figure a way to prioritize things, sure, because that's important. Even, in anything we're talking about here, when we talk about making it a practice, prioritize with what's the most important to do, what's the most important to me, whatever the case, you as an individual, whatever the case might be, but just do one thing at a time. And I bet you'll find that by the end of your 8-hour day, that to-do list is either done at hour 6,
right,
or is done right on time. And you go, hey, look at me, right?
Yeah.
Look what myself or my team or whatever was able to accomplish today, because we put one foot in front of the other and we accomplish things. And if we can start with those small, just day-to-day things that stress us out when they maybe don't have to, and we can stop ourselves and say, hey, I'm kind of feeling a little stressed out right now. Why is that? Okay, let's try to find a systematic way to handle that and not let the stress derail me from what I'm trying to do. Again, make it a practice and get better at it, and it'll spill over to other areas for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You can't have the mindset of the sky is falling,
Right. That'll
Chicken Little.
That'll
you'll never get anything done. And I know I've had that before too. And I think any human has had that. They've looked at their list and went, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? But when you start checking them off, like, okay, this is my priority. Number 10 is my absolute priority.
Right.
Get that checked off. And then once you get that monkey off your back, you're like, okay. And then you can knock off 2 or 3 more things.
Yeah. I think the other thing to keep in mind when we're, if we're going to, let's use another, this is probably what, analogy 72 in this episode. If that, let's talk about that to-do list as something that there's things on it that you've never done before. You might need some help doing that. Right.
Sure.
So get the proper guidance and support, and get it sooner rather than later, so that you have some help along the way in that practice. Right. When you look at sports, right, there's always a coach and players. Right.
Yep.
And the big debate up here in New England was Brady or Bill Belichick the reason why the Patriots won all those Super Bowls? Well, we've already seen that Bill Belichick has been a part of Super Bowls without Brady back in his early career as a coordinator, but that's, whatever. Right. He still was there. And Brady's been a part of one on his own. They've both proven they can be a part of winning situations without each other, but together, my goodness, best to ever do it. Right. So that's real important is having a team around you too, having the guidance and support and seeking that out sooner rather than later so that you can grow the way you want to grow and get the help you need along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. This was a great topic to jump into here, Josh. I think that's I'm sitting here kind of reflecting on some things that I want to change in the way I go about certain things in my life. And I need to stop being so hard on myself and just do it and start on a smaller scale and then work into that bigger scale and help make it a habit. And in order to make it a habit, you really have to start it as a practice.
Yeah, so I think so. No, I mean, I definitely, I don't want people to think that are listening to this that you and I are perfect, because
no,
I know I'm not. I've looked at my list and gone, oh my God. So I run around like a, chicken with its head cut off.
Right.
But then when I get myself centered, I get more stuff done. So I guess that's really what it is. It's just picking away at it and not stressing out and doing the best you can.
Yeah. And for people listening, maybe that's your first step is recognizing how stressed that new task or new journey or that to-do list is making you. And just realizing that and then saying, okay, what can I do to make it easier? And using some of those tools. Maybe that's your first step. Right. And then as you do that more often, you're able to get more comfortable with it and it becomes less of a practice and more of a habit. And you reach that end goal of that thing not making you stressed out anymore. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Was Perfect. There any other main points you really wanted to hit here, Josh? I think we covered a lot of it, but if there's something we haven't hit yet, by all means.
No, I think we covered it all. I think that's pretty good. People can get the idea. We had plenty of analogies.
Plenty
of life experience.
73 and a half.
All about my yard.
Right.
So,
if any neighborhood kids in Buxton want to make a couple extra bucks, there's a pile of dirt in Josh's yard that he could use the help moving. So
yeah, absolutely. I pay really well. $1/4 a ton.
$1/4 a ton. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well,
awesome.
Well, I love that we can come on here and record this and you and I can walk away saying, maybe I should take, look at that a little differently, a little more often in my own life. I think that just speaks to the fact that we're all a work in progress. So I hope you all out there listening feel the same way. You got something out of this. If you did, we would really appreciate it if you would share it with someone else in your life that could find this valuable as well. And we always appreciate those 5-star rate and reviews on Apple Podcast or wherever it is that you download and listen to the Strength of Purpose podcast. We also have a YouTube channel. There is not only the videos of all of the episodes that we've done, but there's a few other videos that we've put on there from time to time that maybe, Josh and I have something going on within our own practices that we find might be valuable to the viewers of the podcast. Well, we throw that up there as well. So there's a little bit of bonus content up there, I guess. So
definitely
go check that out over on YouTube. Just search Strength of Purpose podcast and we will come right up. The link's in the show notes as well. And if you want to interact with us, you have some suggestions for the podcast, you have a question, heck, you want to be on the podcast,
please
hit us up on social media at Strength of Purpose Pod or shoot us an email, strengthofpurposepod@gmail.com. Josh, thanks so much for bringing this topic up. I think it was a real cool topic and it really got my juices flowing. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. This has been fun.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one, everybody. And we'll see you back here next time on the Strength of Purpose podcast.
Take care.